Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Over the last 18 months, it's been very, very hard for landlords in New York and also for tenants because the divide that was set forward by legislation enacted by government leaders in New York allowed landlords and tenants to live on a false sense of security through this eviction moratorium that they were going to start receiving emergency funding. And this emergency funding was going to protect both parties for everyone's safety. Unfortunately, what ended up happening was one false promise after the next, and now it looks like things are about to really ramp up and become a real problem. If you didn't know, New York has only given 8% of all the funding to landlords. 8%. Look at this. They say that the agency OTDA said Friday that more than 15,548 families had received checks as of August 23rd through and just distribute 8% of $2.6 billion. Okay, so they gave 8%, then they increased property taxes, and now they want to give tenants an extra 1 year to stay in their unit if they follow a simple step. So all they have to do is follow this simple step, it'll buy them an extra year. So imagine if you're Joe the plumber and you have a tenant that's not paying and their rent is $3,000 a month. You're losing $36,000 a year times 3 years. You're losing $100,000 on one tenant, and that is through this eviction moratorium if this goes forward. So New York, they increased property taxes last year, and New York City property tax owners owed $1.65 billion in property taxes than they did last year despite the pandemic that hobbled real estate values. Wall Street Journal analysis of the city's latest assessment rolls found that the industry's new tax bill rose 5.7%. That is because the tax assessment date was January 5th, well before the property devaluations in response to the shelter in place that forced many tenants to withhold rent. So apparently it was bad timing. They got increased property taxes and then the rents became optional. But listen to what Kathy Hochul is doing right now, as she, in my opinion, seems more strict on landlords than Andrew Cuomo ever did. And unfortunately, I think what Kathy Hochul is going to do is very likely going to be what Gavin Newsom does if he is not recalled coming very soon. Hochul legislation called emergency session on evictions. This happened late last night, 8 p.m. When the Supreme Court voided President Biden's federal eviction moratorium Thursday, Governor Kathy Hochul kicked New York's tenant protection efforts into overdrive. The governor said in a statement Friday that she plans to hold a special session, effectively pulling the legislature out of recess to address evictions. The state's own moratorium expires on Tuesday. It was not immediately clear if she intends to act on the legislation introduced earlier this month by Senator Alessandra Biaggi and Assembly Member Uline Nuo to extend the moratorium until October 31st or to tweak the rent relief program, enabling legislation to speed delivery of the money. It's the same exact thing that Biden was talking about and Janet Yellen were talking about yesterday, saying that they need to expedite the money to landlords. So essentially what they're saying is, give us more time. And as they continue doing that, they can keep kicking the can down the road. And the longer they kick the can down the road, the more the landlord and the tenant need them. And when that happens, what alternatives will they both have? They'll have no alternative. So they'll be victim to whatever outcome they say, and that's it. It's crazy. In a statement, however, Hochul emphasized getting rental assistance out the door. Our teams will be working through the weekend to address best delivery relief to renters and homeowners in need of quickly as possible. In a tweet Friday afternoon, Hochul urged renters to apply for the state's emergency rental assistance program, which provides a year of protection against eviction. A year of protection against eviction. But what's fascinating too is if you look at some of the donors that are donating to Hochul and a lot of these leaders, it's companies, the big real estate funds. And if you look at their numbers, their profit and loss statement over the last 18 months, they're actually collecting incredible. I mean, like 97 and 98% rents collected. And you ask a mom and pop landlord if they have those types of rent collections, and they'll tell you no. I can almost guarantee you. So they're getting rents collected and they're increasing rents and they're showing massive profit margins. Go look up Invitation Homes and you see how much money they brought in 2020 compared to 2019. It's mind-blowing. The defense ERAP affords, however, is not immediate. For a tenant to be shielded, documents showing proof of income, occupation, identity, rental obligations must be reviewed and accepted, said Barbara Gunn, Executive Deputy Commissioner of the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, at a hearing last week. Protections also require OTDA to work with housing courts to provide up-to-date information on who has applied to the program. The agency has not earned a reputation for speed or transparency and has been called on 2 hearings this month to answer delays plaguing rent relief. In one, OTDA Commissioner Michael Hein said the agency had finalized its data sharing agreements with the court system, which he said would gain access in real time to applications pending processing, that sort of thing. So they're benefiting. You know, a lot of tenants mean very, very well, and a lot of landlords mean very, very well, but they're benefiting tenants that have not yet filed. Hochul said that $800 million has been obligated to rent relief. Only a small portion has actually reached landlords, although as of last week, $156 million in relief has dropped via direct deposit or check. Landlords say issues with the agency's web portal have prevented them from collecting payments. One thing that would be very, very helpful is if they listed landlords that owned more than 100 units or 200 units, and we could see the rationale, how much money is actually going to the bigger landlords versus the small mom and pop landlords with 3, 5, 7 units. Just a pie chart showing the percentages, because I think if they showed that honestly, you would see that the mom and pop landlords are likely going to get squeezed. In her inaugural address this week, Hochul pledged to speed up delivery on rent relief by adding staff to process applications and assigning a team to identify problems with the portal. A leading landlord group, the Rent Stabilization Association, urged the governor to focus on releasing rent relief funds rather than issuing another moratorium, which would only add to the tenants' arrears and further strain property owners struggling to pay property taxes and mortgages. Now, this also gets pretty sticky too for the landlord, because what's happening right now is if they extend it to, let's say, October, right? They extend it to October, I think they're going to extend it past that, because it's going to be freezing cold and they're not going to have people, women and children, evicted in the street come November, December, and January when it's 20 and 30 degrees outside with, snow. I don't see that happening. And then on top of that, the new requirement that they just mandated a few weeks ago, it's going to impact businesses, it's going to impact tourism, and all of this is essentially going to make the city less safe because there's going to be less tax revenue as less tourists visit the city. So you're going to have less tourism, you're going to have less money coming into the city. Small mom and pop businesses are going to suffer, and then they're not going to collect rent, and then they increase property taxes on them. It's like the holy trinity to really hurt people that are trying to get ahead in this world. A leading landlord group, the Rent Stabilization Association, urged the governor to focus on releasing rent relief funds and issuing another moratorium. Then, circumventing the U.S. Supreme Court decision, instead of getting hundreds of millions of dollars in federal rent out the door, would just be more of the same political gamesmanship rather than a real solution. And I fully agree. So it's unfortunate, but I think some things that we can learn from this entire situation over the last, let's say, 18 months is that when you're buying real estate, you're buying multifamily real estate, you really want to pay attention, close attention to the states in which you buy property and understand the landlord-tenant laws in those states, because some states you're going to pay a big ticket to enter that market, and then on top of that, all the rules and laws, everything that's coming in that you're going to be dealing with is not going to justify the price and the risk that you're paying for that market. For example, if you're buying a multi-family property in Florida compared to buying one in New York, you're going to spend more to be in New York. And then if anything happens, you have a tenant not paying, good luck. Good luck. You're going to be out of luck. So it's a very, very tough time to be a new buyer, especially in a place like New York City and California. But I'm wondering what you guys think about this with the eviction moratorium. Do you think that this is going to get extended? What do you think about this 1-year proposal right now? Kathy Hochul tweeting out last night, telling people, hey, do this and you can get an extra 1 year. It's insane. But I wonder what they're going to do with all that money. If they don't get it out to landlords, what are they going to do with all that money? Are they going to use it for affordable housing and force these landlords into buyout agreements where they go in and buy their properties for pennies on the dollar? It's a possibility. It really is a possibility, but I think it's too soon to make that call. But But I'm curious what you guys think. Drop it in the comments below. Please smash that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content, educate more people, especially people that are thinking about buying real estate. And consider subscribing on this channel. Consider subscribing on my second channel. I'm going to leave the links pinned down below. My second channel is my personal channel. And I'll see you guys in my next video.